Hey everyone, welcome back to 996 The Howl, and welcome back indeed, because this is a real-time video, and what a great time to be back, because the Utah Mammoth are currently in a playoff spot and have a pretty good bumper of 4 points above the Nashville Predators or the LA Kings, who are outside the playoff spot. The Utah Mammoth with 64 points, and I put these teams in order of points. So Utah with 64, Seattle with 63 points. Now Seattle, there's a caveat with this video, is that Utah doesn't even need to be the best team out of this group. These are the 6 teams battling for the last 2 wildcard spots, but there's still a spot in the Pacific Division of 3rd place. So the bulk, all of these Pacific teams, Seattle, Anaheim, LA, San Jose, they could be above Utah. That's fine. You know, go ahead. Be better than Utah. You'll finish 3rd in the Pacific, and Utah could still slide in the wild card spot. But Anaheim has that last wild card spot at 63 points. LA with 60, like I said, Nashville 59, and San Jose 58 points. These are the games played that the teams have played. So Utah has played the most out of these teams, but tied with Nashville with 57, Seattle, Anaheim, LA with 56 games played, and San Jose with 55 games played. I am so enamored and appreciative of the Utah Mammoth. I left them. I didn't watch those 5 games. I watched a little bit of the games, the Florida game on the plane, Carolina game in a hotel lobby when they blew that game. Can't believe they rebounded after that, but they really got some nice wins against Vancouver and Detroit to end the season, going into the Olympic break on such a high note and a great position. It is in Utah's hands. They control their destiny of the playoffs, which is great. You never want to rely on other teams losing. So if the Utah Mammoth do lose out of a playoff position, it will be their own faults. They can't really blame anyone else. Before we get into these stats, these are great stats. Let's look at playoff odds by some of these analytical models. We'll start with the most visually pleasing with the money puck pie chart, and Anaheim leads the way with like 77.5% chance to make the playoffs, which is fine because, like I already said, they could finish 3rd in the Pacific above Utah. It won't really matter to Utah. Utah is 3rd with 66.5%. Seattle 2nd with 69.9%. So basically 70%. And then you got LA with 58.8%. And then in this video, you're going to see that the analytics hate San Jose, which is, I've been a big San Jose hater this season. If you watch my live videos, and I'm looking at analytical stats, San Jose is always at the bottom, and they had a hot start, and we'll go into the details of why they're still hanging in a playoff position. But San Jose had 22.8% chance to make the playoffs, according to Money Puck, and Nashville 22.6%. We'll shift over to hockeystats.com. This is a great analytical website that I've been using more and more, and I'm going to start using most of the stats from this website. This website is amazing for stats. A little bit confusing to navigate the website, but nonetheless, it is a great site. Although they love Utah and they really hate San Jose. Utah is just an analytical darling, the complete polar opposite of San Jose. Every analytics, Utah is up there in those stats. So they have Utah, it's funny to even say, 88% chance to make the playoffs, and then Anaheim 73%, LA 59%, Seattle 49%, and then San Jose down there again at 29%, and Nashville 18% to make the playoffs, according to hockeystats.com. If you want to look at the remaining schedule, strength of schedule, I got 2 sources here. You got the Tankathon, which rates teams' remaining schedule in terms of getting the lottery pick. So these are in reverse. So the strength of schedule, the lower you are on this table, the easier the schedule is. And all these teams have a pretty easy schedule. The hardest would be San Jose with the 22nd hardest schedule, so relatively easy. And then Nashville and Utah 24, 27. And then Anaheim, LA, San Jose, they got some of the easiest schedules according to Tankathon and according to our next source as well. They're at the bottom of the league in terms of hard schedule remaining. So that's going to be a little wrinkle to this as well, is not all these teams face the same teams to end the season. They all have different opponents, different back-to-backs, which we'll get to as well. Next, we'll go to this Guru site, which also does strength of schedule. They think Seattle's got a really hard schedule. They're 11th hardest in the league. And then Utah, Nashville, 26-27. And then again, the 3 California teams have the easiest schedule according to this source. If you hate those sources and you just want to know about back-to-backs, Anaheim leads the way. They only have 3 back-to-backs left they play, whereas they face 9 opponents who are going to come off a back-to-back. Utah has 3 more back-to-back games left, and they face 6 opponents who will have back-to-back games, and that second back-to-back game will be against Utah, so that's great as well for Utah. LA, they have 7 back-to-back games left. That's really tough. So you could see how, even though, LA has 7 back-to-backs left, San Jose has 6 back-to-backs left, they still, some of those sources said they have easy remaining schedules. And of course, Anaheim with only 3 back-to-backs left, that makes sense how they have an easier schedule. So different sources, different data points. If you want to look at home and away games left, which is another sort of wrinkle to this as well. What if a team has 20 home games left? They would be more likely to make the playoffs because usually you should win when you're at home. So Utah, 14 more games at home and 11 games away. That's pretty nice. You want more home than away. All these teams have, no, they don't. Almost lied there. Seattle is even at 13 games at home, 13 games away left. Anaheim and LA lead the way with 15 remaining home games and 11 away games. Nashville, 11 home games, 14 away games. So they're the lone team that has more away games than home games. And then San Jose, 15 home games and 12 away games left. So finally, can we get into the stats? I got points percentage, goals for per game, goals against per game, goal differential, which is really funny to see it laid out there. Power play, PK, save percentage. And then you got shot attempt percentage, which is Corsi, unblocked shot attempt percentage, which is Fenwick, and expected goals for percentage. All those last 3 stats are 5-on-5. So we get to look at everything here: goaltending, special teams, and 5-on-5. I'm really uncovering everything and making sure there's no stone unturned to just compare these 6 teams and who really deserves to make the playoffs. So points percentage, Utah almost at the leading point at 0.561%. Seattle and Anaheim lead the way because they've played 1 less game than Utah. Nashville's pretty low at just above 500, so they're at 518, and San Jose at 527. Goals for per game, LA is 30th in the league. They do not score. The Kings do. So these little caveats are important as well when you go head-to-head against these teams to see how Utah plays against these other teams. LA does not get their points on the board for score, and they do it in other ways. But for goals for per game, Utah does lead the way at 3.21. Anaheim is second at 3.2. And then San Jose 3.07. And then the other 3 teams are below 3 goals per game. Wonderful job by the Utah Mammoth to be well above 3 goals per game. You need to be over 3 goals per game to make the playoffs. That is a good signal. There's a bunch of good signals here on this board that show you should make the playoffs. And because Utah has a lot of those good signals, they need and deserve to make the playoffs. Sorry to answer the title already. And then we have goals against per game. Utah at 2.75 goals against per game, 4th in the whole NHL. Another wonderful job by the Utah Mammoth in terms of goal scoring and keeping the puck out of their net. Nashville, Anaheim, and San Jose are like last in the league, 28th, 29th, and 30th in the league. In terms of goals against per game, you could see it there, 3.48, 4.7, 4.9. That is way too high. That is not a good signal that they deserve to make the playoffs. Then LA and Seattle, 2.77 for LA, and Seattle 2.88, exactly mirroring their goals against per game. Then we go to goal differential, a good signal, an easy signal for teams making the playoffs. If you have a positive goal differential, you have like a 90% chance of making the playoffs. And Utah's the only positive team at plus 26. They're fourth in the Western Conference in terms of points in terms of goal differential. So they're below the three Central teams, and then they're above the Pacific leaders of the division, which is great to see. Seattle -3, Anaheim -10, LA -15, Nashville and San Jose -29, -22. These teams should not be making the playoffs, Nashville and San Jose. Power play, Utah really bad on the power play, 31st in the NHL. I really hope during this Olympic break they just sat down and just revamped their power play. It's been a glaring issue since game number 10, and I've been screaming it almost every progress video and recap video, and they seem to not be fixing it. So hopefully they sat down, watched my videos, and now they're going to fix the power play. 15.5%, just over that. Seattle is like amazing on the power play. They're 10th in the league at nearly 23%. Other good teams, Nashville close to 22%, San Jose 20%, LA struggling on the power play as well with just under 16, and Anaheim doing slightly better than Utah, nearing 18% on the power play. Penalty kill, Seattle is the worst. They are 31st in the league in penalty killing. Utah's penalty kill was good for a majority and bulk of the season, but I feel like the last 15, 20 games, that PK number has really took a nosedive, but they're still hovering at 79.1%. Seattle 71.52, Anaheim 78, LA 76.5, Nashville great penalty kill 80, and San Jose almost at 78.5%. Then we go to save percentage. Seattle 5th in the league in save percentage. They got some great goaltenders that are having great seasons. You don't expect Grubauer and Decord to be great goaltenders, but Seattle is getting really good goaltending this season. So they're 5th in the league, and their save percentage is .902. And then LA is 7th in the league at .898. It's really a close race with these save percentage numbers. Like .898 is not really higher than .894, but LA is 7th in the league in save percentage. Utah .894, Nashville .882, and San Jose .886. Those are poor numbers as well. Actually, Seattle has really good goaltending at .879. Nope, that's me. It's hard reading this board from this angle. Anaheim at .879. Next, we go to the great 5-on-5 stats. These are healthy stats. You need these numbers to be above 50%. Basically, what it tells you is how is a team controlling play their 5-on-5. It's a proxy for measuring possession 5-on-5 and the quality of that possession 5-on-5. So Corsi and Fenwick are the 5-on-5 possession numbers, and Utah just leads the way. They are 4th in the whole NHL in terms of Corsi and Fenwick. Corsi measures all shot attempts, so shots that miss the net, get blocked, and hit the net. And unblocked shot attempts is Fenwick, which only measures misses and shots to the net on goal. Doesn't measure blocked shots, whereas Corsi measures blocked shots. They're always nearly identical, but you got to put both of them on the board because someone might complain, hey, you know, I prefer Corsi over Fenwick, whereas me personally, I prefer Fenwick over Corsi. But like I said, Utah 4th in the whole NHL in both of these categories at 53.3%. And then these other teams, Seattle, really bad in terms of 5-on-5 possession. So they do their damage on the power play and good goaltending. That is why Seattle is in this group and battling for a playoff spot. So if their goaltending starts to be shaky and take a nosedive, they are not going to make the playoffs. And if their power play starts to shut down, they're not going to make the playoffs because they can't rely on anything else. Whereas Utah, it's like their best metrics are 5-on-5, and which is what you want because you could always tinker and fix your special teams. I know it's been taking them about 45 games to do so, but hopefully during the Olympic break they can tinker and fix it, put new personnel, and just work on it because the hardest thing to fix is 5-on-5. You need a lot of practice to fix that, where you could probably fix power play and your PK, you know, over a weekend or 1 or 2, 3 practices. Anaheim 51.4, both 51.5%. That's pretty good for Anaheim. LA as well. am fearful for LA, and I haven't even talked about that they acquired Artemi Panarin from the New York Rangers, an elite offensive winger, in a trade, a week ago. Time doesn't really matter to me these days, but they lost Kevin Fiala in the Olympics. He injured his leg, and he's out for the season. Another high offensive talent for LA who's already struggling for goals. So luckily they did acquire Panarin, because that Fiala injury is going to be compensated by the acquisition of Panarin. If they didn't acquire Panarin and then Fiala went down, they were kind of in a bad spot there. Nashville nearing 50% in terms of Fenwick and Corsi, and San Jose, terrible analytical numbers 5-on-5. How do they, they're last on the board because they're last in the standings at 58 points, but they're still within striking distance of a playoff spot. And the way they do it is they score a lot. They also get scored on a lot, but they have a 20% power play. And their goalie situation isn't good either. I would bet a lot of money that San Jose does not make the playoffs, because a lot of numbers are skewed the other way. Bad goals against numbers, bad save percentage, terrible analytics 5-on-5. So they're going to be slowly out of the conversation, is what I think and I predict. But and then Utah, in terms of expected goals for percentage. So 5-on-5, does Utah score more than their opponent? And yes, they are 6th in the league in terms of expected goals for percentage. And San Jose and Seattle at the bottom of this in this category here in terms of analytics. Seattle 47%. Again, terrible expected goals for percentage numbers. And then Anaheim's pretty good, 50. LA 51. Nashville could be a bit better, just hovering below 49. And then San Jose really, really bad at 45%. The reason why expected goals is important, because it eliminates scoring and luck. It eliminates finishing potential. You could be lucky and score a lot of goals, even though the mathematics and analytics say, you probably shouldn't score a lot of those goals. Like 45 is really bad. That is like Coyotes rebuild numbers right there. So love that Utah's got really healthy 5-on-5 analytics. And I really do think they're going to make the playoffs. And I am incredibly happy. I didn't think this was going to happen before January. Like, we had a bulk of games that were just terrible, like up and down, win, lose. Couldn't win more than 2 games in a row for like a 30-game stretch from games 10 to 40. And now since January 1st, just Utah unlocked another gear, and they're going to have to stick to that level of play. They cannot slow down. They need to be even better than they were since January 1st. You either got to maintain that play or elevate, because a lot of teams are going to start unlocking an extra gear, especially veteran teams like LA. Veteran teams, they usually unlock another gear near the end of the season, because they know what it takes to make the playoffs and be in the playoffs, whereas Utah doesn't have a lot of that veteran experience. Yes, they have them on the periphery and secondary players, but their core players, Gunther, Cooley, Keller, Schmaltz, Krause, Hayden, if you want to include them, they don't have that, make the playoffs mentality. How do you play in the playoffs mentality? I mean, Keller and Krause were in that, sort of playoff bubble thing that happened in 2020 where they eliminated the Nashville Predators. Schmaltz didn't play because he got injured in a meaningless game right before then. In like a exhibition game against Vegas, Ryan Reeves injured Schmaltz for the rest of that, bubble tournament. So they beat Nashville. Keller and Krause did. Hayden as well. And then got totally demolished by the Avalanche. So that's the only experience Keller, Hayden, and Krause have. But like I said, they added a lot of veterans, and Sergachev, Schmidt, and some Stenlund, who's won a cup with the Florida Panthers, and Cooley. Cooley's back. He's practicing in a regular jersey. So Utah's been playing amazing since January 1st without Logan Cooley. So they are injecting a top center player in the league, an elite playmaker, an elite finisher. He's got to come into the lineup and just be how he was right before he got injured. He was playing really well until that injury, and he's got to come in I don't want to see, you know, these training wheels on him where he's got to work through things. He's got a lot of practice time until the NHL resumes. So I really hope he's back to 100% and he's at that level of play that we all know Logan Cooley can reach. Gunther's been unbelievable when Cooley went down with an injury. Schmaltz, Keller as well, picking up the slack and really leading this team. And hopefully that's the biggest, you know, trade deadline acquisition. The trade deadline is in like 2 weeks. I'll have a trade deadline video next week, Monday or Tuesday. But I think the biggest trade deadline acquisition is going to be Logan Cooley healthy and playing in the lineup. So they got to take that play they've been playing and just elevate it by injecting Logan Cooley into the lineup. So the Mammoth, they're in a great position. It's up to them. They control their destiny. If they fumble it, which I don't think they will, they only have themselves to blame and really look in the mirror and say, we really had it in the bag. We played really well, put ourselves in the best position possible. Everything's going well, maybe except power play, and they need to fix the PK a little bit, but everything else has been gravy. They got to maintain that level of play in those other stats. So that's it for me. This was a huge video, man. Great to be back in the saddle. So that's it for me. Thanks for watching. If you like what you see, spread the word. And as always, thank you for your support.